Gratitude.
So here's a star tetrahedron that everybody's familiar with. And one way of looking at it is that it's 8 tetrahedrons that are pointing out from a single point. And because of this cool model and the way it's designed, you just flip these things over, and now you have 8 tetrahedrons pointing in to a single point, forming what you call vector equilibrium, where every vector in this whole thing is the same length. It's 8 tetrahedrons pointing in, making 12 radial vectors. And it's all the same vectors and all the same geometry. You just flip it over, and there's your star tetrahedron. Flip over both sides, and you get a star tetrahedron. Also, all the vectors in this are the same length, but they're all pointing out, away from the center.
Well, what happens if you take if you have a point in the center of that and you draw lines to all the outer points?
I don't know. I don't know.
Some of them are double length then.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, some of them would be double length. And you could keep taking pieces that are like this and just start putting them together, you know, and make like a continuous. And if you have enough of these, if you had 16 of these bits, and you made 8 star tetrahedrons, you could put those 8 star tetrahedrons together and get this. And then when you keep putting more tetrahedrons on the outside of these 64, when you get to 512 tetrahedrons, you get another cube octahedron on the outside. And then at 1026 tetrahedrons, you get another cube octahedron. And so it goes octaves of cube octahedron forever. Infinitely bigger and infinitely smaller.
And it's the cube octahedron that's the geometry of vacuum.
Yeah.
Like of a black hole.
That's why Nassim thinks the vacuum is infinite tetrahedral array. It's just like this forever.
He still hasn't really gone into, though, how the double tube torus and those are really connected. Like, they're shown together and taught together.
In black hole, there's that animation that shows the 2 isotropic vector metrics, which is a tetrahedron made of 20 smaller tetrahedrons, and each one has a sphere around it, and then they come together and they overlap to form this, and that's how you get this like double tube torus thing where it's like one is pointing this way and one is pointing this way, the masculine and the feminine, and it comes together and it pinches, so you get vortices like this, and then you get like a equator. So the information goes in, out along the equator and back. But this is so simplified. It's like these lines aren't static. It's not just sitting there. Everything's spinning. It's scalar dimensions of this embedded inside of each other, fractal style. So this is like a dumbing down. Like, let's make a simple three-dimensional vector model so that the human brain can look at it and be like, oh, that's alluding to a much more complex thing. It would be like drawing a diagram of a human and be like, this is a human being, a picture of a person, but you don't see how cell division works or how mitochondria is transforming and how DNA is transferring information. You know what I mean? It's like a very simplified. So this is like, you can't think of this as like, oh, there's the structure of. It's like there's a really simplified, simple three-dimensional model to describe something that is beyond just describing in like very simple terms, because it's the structure of space. It's like,
isn't that like a human not moving? Like that's like seeing a human that's not moving, always static. And I was thinking about what you were saying about pushing the two together. Isn't like this diagram like this? The star tetrahedron is the 2 tube torus pushed together. Like this would be the simplest form of the 2 tube torus.
2 toroids.
Yeah, and then if you look from a certain angle, like you would see the yin yang also in there. Like there's a 3D diagram that Nassim made of how that turns into the yin yang thing. We should definitely show Jordan that video.
What I did in that painting I did in Boulder was basically just taking, you needed a slightly larger circle, so if you went to the center of here and did from here to here, then you could draw a sphere basically that goes all the way around this, and you draw one sphere that goes right here, and then this gives you the sphere to here, and then this gives you the sphere to here, and it gives you a perfectly balanced one. I do recommend trying it out too, because it feels really good.
So, in Chinese character, this symbol means God. And then if you were to break it up and to see what each symbol means, this symbol means always point to clothing or also fabric. And this symbol means universe. Together, God.
So
the fabric of the universe is God. Happy!
This means open.
And that means heart. And together it means happy. Open heart means happiness. La la.